Okay, welcome back. And yes, it is time to make more stuff for use with clay or other things. This is all going to be used with clay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'd already shown you how this linoleum cut can be used to create texture on plates and platters or whatever you want to put it on. Well, how do you make a linoleum cup? How do you make something that will work well and give you a good image, especially in clay? Because it does take a little bit of thought process to figure out how this is all going to be created. So the first thing you gotta do is go get yourself a kit if you haven't already gotten one. This one came from one of them big box art supply stores, and it had one of these, and it had this cutter and 3 blades and some ink that I'll never use. The next thing to do is to create your image on here. Now what I did was I drew out an image from one of my photographs. It's a frog. And I then went back and I went over the line, making the lines wider using the edge of a Sharpie. And I'm doing them with a wide line because the line here is what I'm actually going to cut away, and that is where the clay is going to be raised up. So at the areas that aren't green will actually be pushed down into the clay. And that's important. You know, you have to think about what part do you want to rise up from your flat clay surface. I am using, let's say I'm going, and I want the frog to stand out from that surface. So in order to get that to happen, I have to cut and carve away that line that makes up the frog in the background. Otherwise, if I did it reverse, then this, if I did it as I was going to be printing it and I wanted this frog image to appear, well then what I have to do is I would have to carve down everything that wasn't the frog and let this stand up so that the ink would be there and when I press it onto the paper. So I'm kind of working in a little bit of a reverse pattern than you would if you were making this for printing. Just like printing, however, my image that I create here, when I push it onto the clay, is going to be a mirror image of what I see here. So if you're doing words, you're going to want to do them backwards. So use a mirror, see what it's actually going to look like. These blades are very sharp. I have cut myself using X-Acto knives and all kinds of other things, so I have learned. Always cut away from your hand. Away. Do not cut towards yourself, because if this slips up, you're going to end up with a very nice V-shaped stab scar. And it's not one that you can really show off and tell a really great story. People just kind of look at you and go, well, why did you cut away from yourself? So I've got mine raised up on my turntable here, my little table. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to press down into, and I'm going to now just follow right along, okay? Following right along with the line. So in order to show this a little bit better, I'm going to tilt the camera down so that you can actually see what I'm doing now. So taking this, putting it here, I'm going to push, and now all I have to do is just follow right along my line, and it creates the image that I drew. How deep I cut this is going to determine how high the clay actually stands up. So, you know, I will try and keep my clay, I want it all to be about the same height. So I'm going to try and make sure that I carve the same depth, right? I kind of want it to be nice and clean, so I'm going to come back in there and clean out so I don't have any little funkiness going on there. And it is this. This is the process over and over and over again. It is just cut, move to the next line, cut. Now I'm using the wedge that is the middle width for this cutting. If I wanted my lines to be thicker, I could, or wider, make myself, if I was cutting a lot of area, I would use the thicker. If I have really super fine detail, I would use the finer line, right? That's pretty self-explanatory stuff there. You notice again, I'm not pressing really hard. The blade's really sharp, so it cuts right through this linoleum pretty easily. But I am making sure that I am taking my time and I am cutting away from my hand. That is key, away from the hand. What this is going to allow me to have now is another awesome mat for making textures in plates and tiles. And as you can see, this one doesn't have skulls on it, so it's a little more people friendly, I guess. People don't always want to hang out with skulls hanging on their walls, so you make something here where it's people friendly. And of course, yes, this frog is taken from a photograph that I took of a tree frog giving me the stink eye while I was trimming my azalea bushes in front of the house. Yes, he gave me the stink eye. He did not like what I was doing, and so I got stink eye the whole time I was out there. Yes, he didn't like gentrification that was occurring in his neighborhood. So, if you get the stink eye from a frog, just realize it is because you are doing something that they don't like. Now, I personally use all images that I take or create. If you are not the world's greatest drawer, and I say drawing is just making a mark on this paper, but that's for another video, you can do these with, you could print off an image. You're going to want to make it a black line image if possible. Put some graphite on the back side of it. Graphite is that stuff comes out of pencils to just shade the entire back side of it. Put it down on your linoleum with the graphite on the back side, and then take your pencil and trace over the surface. It is a cheap way of making transfer paper, and all you need is a pencil. That's right, graphite. Just think back to those days in math class, and you open up your math notebook and all your notes are starting to get smudged because the paper is rubbing against the paper in front. It's the same concept, same process, really. You're just transferring that excess graphite down if you were to do it that way. And maybe I'll show a video of how to do that. It's a real simple process, easy to do, and great for transferring images, either your own images or images that you find and you want to use that are, as they say, available for public use, public domain images. Do that too. I like to have all steps in my art process be my own, so I use images that I have photographed myself. Probably could make my life a lot easier if my reference photos, I would just get them from the Googles. But, you know, not my style. So as you can see, this goes pretty quickly. I might even speed this video up, you know, to get to the final part a lot easier, a lot faster, make your life a little bit less annoying by looking and watching this video. I think right now would be the time where you would change the music to, and then, you know, this whole thing would move a lot faster if I was to do some video editing. Maybe I will, or maybe I won't, and this entire video will be 15 minutes of me carving linoleum, because I like to carve linoleum and I like to make people think. Now, here we go, we're gonna go this way. Cut. Notice I'm still cutting away from my hand. All the way across. Bam. Boom. And I do it again. And for this long line, I'll actually go in the opposite direction to get the other side. Cut out a little bit easier too. But this is how you do it. I know, silly art videos. I'm an art teacher. You know, gotta give me something to do in the summertime. Well, I am trying to increase my production of artwork in the summer so that I can sell it in the fall and the winter. So I can, you know, supplement my income. I'm a teacher. They don't pay me enough. Remember, go vote for anybody who supports teachers. Unless you hate education, then why are you watching my video? So. And again. Hearing the birds just calling away out there. It's gonna be a nice hot one here today in this studio. So you gotta get out here early and work, or bring a change of clothes. Because even with the little AC running, you can't compete with Mississippi summers. Just can't. I think this is going to be a really nice tile, and I might even try and start using some of these pressed into like the sides of mugs or something. Give them a different effect, different appearance than what I normally do. Give me something I can mass produce, I guess. Yeah, if I can shorten down how long it takes me to make some of my stuff, and I can offer a wider variety of things for people to buy. Yeah, not everybody can afford my hand-drawn cups. Those guys are expensive. It takes so much time. How long to make the cup? It's the drawing part. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to carve right on into my frog here. Really, this is where I want to take my time, because I want my frog image to really stand out and be really good. This will give me my nice line work here. And that is one thing that works well with, if your line work is very graphic or illustrative, then this technique will allow you to create really great imagery. Not only by impressing into the clay, but you could even use it to print underglazes on your clay. So you can actually take and run, thicken up your underglaze and then run it over the top of your linoleum piece, which of course will even bend and curve, and then you could wrap it right on around a pot, a cylinder, a funky shape, whatever that funky shape might be, you decide. Here we go. This is how we do this. Now, how did I come up with this idea? I wish I could say I was the first one, but I'm not. I was just looking and trying to figure out ways of creating these textures, and there are these texture mats out there, and they're very soft, but this is just a use of another art medium to create what I want. So if you think about something, you can really come up with some great ideas, and that's the best part about this. It just takes a little creativity. So look around, see what what you've got out and available, and you're comfortable using, and see how you can adapt that technique or that material to a new medium, right? So here where I was using, and I would make these prints. We would do cardboard type prints, cutout prints with my art classes, and my students would like doing them, and they really liked the prints, and they could make these really cool things. And we started making them out of foam, which also works great. I do one or two of those for clay too. They're a little different. But it was that, how can I create a new thing? And I wish I could take full credit and say, yes, I've totally created this new technique, but I haven't. It's been around. I'm sure some other artist somewhere did it before. I'm just doing it now. So carve, and I'm getting there. I don't know if I'm gonna knock it out in the 15 minutes. Oh, we're up to 18 minutes. Not gonna be able to knock it out in the 15 minutes like I thought. But really, it's not too bad. Taking my time, making sure I keep my hands safe. I don't want to have to go to the doctor again. Doctor, I stabbed myself. They already saw me once for an X-Acto knife injury this year. I think that's enough. Yes. Da-da-da. Go. And we continue around. Really just kind of want to finish this out so you can at least see it, and then I'll come back and clean up the rest of my image for use with the clay and everything. But just show you the final cut image here. Frog gonna get cut away. use of this banding wheel. Been fantastic. Allows me to carve away and create those curves so easily. Without ever having to really stop and pull the blade up for some of those cuts. But that, ta-da, and now you can see the depth, you can see the shadows there, is, ooh, there we go. So by doing that, right, by creating this little guy, I'm not going to be able to put him onto some clay, creating texture into it. I'm going to go back through here, I'm going to clean it up, make it a little bit deeper and darker, but this is how you can create using a simple piece of linoleum from wherever. Soft linoleum carving works great. So now go out and make yourself something out of clay.